We're going to start the hip routine in a wide kneeling position and gently drive the hips forwards and backwards. You might feel the odd little click and pop in the hips, and as long as it doesn't hurt, that's fine. I would say clicking is unsticking. And then as you start to feel looser, you can just gently bring one hand underneath the other, letting that shoulder rest closer to the floor each time you drive back. And you'll notice that when you drive your hand one way, it tightens one hip more than the other. So we're just targeting each individual hip as we twist side to side. Even just after doing this for a little while, you should start to feel a bit lighter and cleaner already. And then this time, push your hips straight back and stay there. And imagine a torch is coming out your belly button and just shine that torch side to side. So we're gently rocking the pelvis on the hips. And keep wriggling and rocking, but walk your hands round over one knee and drive the hips side to side. Shining that imaginary torch side to side. And then walk your hands the other way, shine that torch side to side. So take your hands back out in front of you and bring one foot up by your front, outside your hands there. So don't have your hands either side of your foot, but have both hands inside that front foot. You may want to adjust whatever you're resting your knee on and have that resting under your back knee. So once you're here, your goal is to drive your hips down and get this nice straight line from your back knee to your shoulders. Once you've got this stretch through the inner hips and pelvis, take nice deep belly breaths. I would say imagine breathing into the stretch. You're pushing your belly out into the hips, using the breath to enhance the stretch. And from here, give that front knee a little wiggle, just cleaning the ball and socket joint of the hip. And then take that hand and reach up to the ceiling, driving the hips down, taking those belly breaths, pushing into the hips. And then back to the middle. If this feels comfortable, you can just stay here. But an optional extra is to stretch the quads by reaching with the opposite hand to the back foot. Driving the hips down still, but holding onto the foot here really intensifies the stretch through the front of the thigh, the quadricep muscles. And then slowly lower that leg. Now we will take one hand either side of the front foot and straighten that front knee. So curl your toes under at the back, straighten that front knee as much as you can. And here we're getting a nice little hamstring stretch. And use that imaginary torch coming out the belly button to shine side to side again. Rocking the pelvis over the hamstring stretch. Great. Rest that back knee down. Heel toe across, and you can rest your shin down. Take your back leg further back and across to the opposite side. Here we're in the pigeon pose. So start by tucking the pelvis through and driving that chest up, and wiggle the hips side to side. Gently rocking through the stretch. Sinking the hips lower and lower when you feel comfortable. And then to increase the stretch, we can drop down onto our elbows, still rocking side to side. And if you want to increase this even more, you can take the weight off the elbows. And now we're resting more weight in the muscle that we're stretching. Great. Now slowly bring yourself back up again. Curl yourself back into a child's pose. So pushing your hands and your hips away from each other. give your muscles some slack and rock side to side, take a breath, reset. And now we're going into the other low lunge, so bring the other foot forwards. Have your front foot outside both hands, and here we're using that goal of dropping the hips down, getting the chest more proud, and lengthening the spine. Take a few breaths. Use the hand closest to your front knee to give the knee a little wiggle, which just helps clean and open the ball and socket joint of the hip. And then take that hand nice and high, reaching up to the ceiling. Breathe, lengthen the spine. That's good. The optional extra here is to hold on to that back foot with the opposite hand. If this feels too intense, you can just relax and enjoy that low lunge position, taking a few slow breaths. And then slowly lower that back leg, heel toe across, and rest down here into the pigeon pose. Take your back leg further back and then across to the opposite side. Nice and proud through the chest, gently wriggling the hips across the stretch, just rocking side to side. And to increase the stretch, you can drop down onto your elbows and gradually take your hands further out in front of you. Fantastic. And then work your way back into this child's pose. Letting your hips sink back onto your heels and stretching your hands further away from you. I like to breathe and gently rock my hips on my heels. Give everything some slack, let it rest. And then slowly out. So I hope you enjoyed the routine. The hips should feel nice and light and clean. So I hope that helped.